tell me how to find the domain. How to find the domain for a rational function? How to find the domain?
The denominator, when make the denominator 0.
Okay. Is it make the denominator equal to 0?
No, it's when
We say e to the power x. We say e to the power x plus 1 cannot be 0. Am I right? Cannot be 0. So now you recognize, you know what is e to the power x. Am I right? So for this case, is there a solution? No, because e to the power x. So you see, whenever you talk about finding the domain or the vertical asymptote, correct? We go to the basic. If I see rational function, I want to find the domain, I will say the denominator cannot be equal to 0. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So I will say e to the power of x, if you want, cannot be equal to -1. So this is never happen. All right, or impossible, or no solution. So therefore, in this case, is there a vertical asymptote? No, because the domain for this case, there is no constraint for the domain. So the domain for this case will be x. X is a member of real number. That's it. So conclusion, there isn't a So we have to be very careful. Okay, I said rational function, there is a vertical asymptote. So how should I change my statement? How should I change my statement about rational function? Some or rational function usually has a vertical asymptote, but not all. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. But if I talk about natural log function, definitely there is a vertical asymptote. Am I right? So we have to be very careful. Huh? Do you get me? Any further question on this? For those online and also for those in the class? So you know what is a rational function, huh? So can I have a rational function that involve log? Can. I can have a lot. So I'm just telling you there is a mixture. So bear in mind, very important thing about rational function is a function divided by another function. So that too, fx and gx, it can be anything. It can be a polynomial. It can be an exponential. It can be a natural log. You get me? Are you clear? Okay, good. So today we are going to go into another type of function. Do you know what is the name for this type of function? Have any idea? Yeah, thank you. This is called rational function. So whenever you see square root, what should you have in mind? Like whenever you see a natural log term, what must you have in mind? Whatever in the natural log must be greater than 0, correct? How about square root? That is radical function. Do you know what is square root of 0? What is square root of 0, class? Yeah, it's 0. Why are you so scared when I ask you a simple question like that?
I thought it would have been like rational error.
No, don't worry. I won't trick you. What is square root of 1? 1. What is square root of -5? Who say cannot? Is it defined?
Fine.
Who say undefined? Who tell me this is undefined? I have defined it for you before. Who say we didn't define it? Mathematician define it. Am I right? This is called imaginary number. That means not real. Not real, can it be a solution? Cannot. So whenever you see square root, what must you have in mind when you talk about radical function? First thing, the question will definitely ask you to find its domain. So what must you do with this question? Based on this understanding, can I simply put any value of x in? Definitely. So what is the constraint for value of x? How are you going to start for this one? Hello, young people, faster. I need your response. You don't respond, today I'm going to keep quiet. So how should I start if I want to find the domain for this radical function? Those who are in class, please give me the answer. Cannot be. Why x cannot be 5? I show you. If x, look, I show you, I can find the answer, okay? When x equal to 5, my y equal to square root of 5 minus 5 equal to square root of 0 equal to 0. So that means that there is a x-intercept. The x-intercept is called 5. Am I right? Cepat. Faster. Y cannot be bigger than 5? How you know? Okay, if 5 minus x is smaller than 0, means this is a negative value. Or it can't be smaller than 0. So can we put it in a positive way? Instead of say can't be smaller than 0. Okay. So instead of say 5 minus x cannot be less than 0. So that is very difficult to solve the problem, correct? If you say, okay, if you say 5 minus x cannot be less than 0, then how are you going to solve? Yes, you are right. So that means the expression in the square root, the expression in the square root must always be greater than or equal to 0. Am I right? So that is called a radical function. So therefore, my x must be smaller than or equal to 5. Am I right? So that means if I have a look at the graph, okay, that means this is 5. That means the graph only appear here. Am I right? Because this is the domain. Right? And if you look at the equation, I put the sign as positive. Please remember, I'm not solving. If, for example, I ask you to solve. Okay. Is it the way I hold my pen? Yeah, it's the way. If I ask you to solve this, x squared equal to 3, then yes, you put x equal to plus or minus square root of 3. But if I give you the equation like that, that means the square root, you take a positive value. You get me? You follow whatever the function given. If I want the square root to be negative, I will put a negative sign in front. I will give you the question later. Okay? So if I plot this graph, yeah, so it definitely cannot be below here. It only above here. Are you clear? Why? Because there is no sign in front of the square root, means it represents positive. So all the y value. So y, so in this case, I will ask for range. So the range is y. Y is a member of real number and y is greater than or equal to 0. Are you clear? Okay. Do you get me? So these are something about radical function that all of us must know. Got it? So radical function got vertical asymptote or not? No. Radical function got horizontal asymptote or not? I don't think so. Usually no. Got it? Okay, so now I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Can we? Any question? Okay, let's go for example. Given fx is equal to 3 minus square root of 5 plus 2x. Okay. A. Find the domain. B. Find the range. Okay. The exact value of the x-intercept and y-intercept. So let's go to A. Whenever you want to find the domain of a radical function that involves square root, you concentrate on whatever in the square root. So that's why you want to do max, correct? You have to stay focused. So under radical, correct? You have to tell yourself, whatever in the square root. You're going, okay, whatever in the square root. What is in the square root? 5 plus 2x. What is the condition? It must be greater than or equal to 0. All right. So therefore, my x must be greater than or equal to 5 negative 2 over 5. Am I right? Negative 5 over 2. What am I doing? Negative 5, the beginning one when I think is correct. Then after that, negative 5 over 2. Am I right? So therefore, I told you, please don't leave that as an answer. You have to write down, therefore, the domain is, so equal sign in max means is. X is a member or real number, and x must be greater than or equal to negative 5 over 2. So it can be equal. So that's why there is no vertical asymptote. So if I talk about graph, okay, let me explain a little bit further. This is not part of the answer. So if I talk about graph, yep. So look, why I want to talk about graph? Because I want to explain part B. So when I talk about graph, negative 5 over 2 is here. All right. So I ask myself, when x equal to negative 5 over 2, my y will be equal to, or my f, negative 5 over 2. Correct? It will be 3 minus square root of 0. So it will be 3. Am I right? So this is my negative 5 over 2, and the y coordinate is 3. Am I right? So it starts from this point. Am I right? Then after that, you look, because there is a negative sign in front of the square root. So therefore, I can conclude that all my others value of y will be less than 3, because it's 3 minus a number. Agree or not? So because there is a negative sign, so your graph will go down like that. You get me? Hello? And if you want, we can prove from part C. That's why just now I added part C before. Actually, I should set part C before I do part B, so that you can figure out it better. You get me? Hello? So I will do part C first here. So find the exact value of the x-intercept and the y-intercept, okay? So now, if I want to find the x-intercept, I put the fx equal to 0, am I right? Oh, no. You see what happened to me today? I put fx equal to 0, which means that my 3 minus square root of 5 plus 2x equal to 0. So square root of 5 plus 2x will be equal to 3. Am I right? So the inverse of square root will be square. So that is something that all of us must know. So we have to know this indices relationship. A to the power of mn equal to b. So my A will be b to the power of n over m. Do you get me? You can do an inverse like that. So this is important indices that you must remember to help us. So square root means power what? You better remember, square. Afterward, next week when I go into chapter 2, the moment you see square root, you have to write power half. Cube root power 1/3. So therefore, my 5 plus 2x, based on this formula, it will be 3 to the power of 2 over 1. Am I right? That's why 3 squared. That is 9. So my 2x will be equal to 4. So the x will be equal to 2. So here is 2. You get me? Got it? So the y-intercept, so you put, so x-intercept is equal to 2. So the y-intercept is f0, which is 3 minus square root of 5 plus 0. So it's 3 minus square root of 5. Can someone give me the approximate value of square root of 5? Without calculator. 2 point something. How you know it's 2 point something? Yes. 5 is between 4 and 9. So square root of 5 will be between square root of 4 and square root of 9. Why I choose 4 and 9? Because I know that square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 9 is 3. So square root of 4 is 2. So that means square root of 5 is between 2 and 3. Nearer to 2 or nearer to 3? Nearer to 2 because 5 is nearer to 4. Do you do this when you are in year 7? No. That means your teacher train you with calculator, not train you with logic. Cannot. Learn maths must train with logic. Calculator is just a tool to help us to calculate faster. If you everything based on calculator, your concept of maths collapse. That's why you'll find maths so difficult because you don't have the thought and the flow. Everything depends on the calculator. Calculator is just a tool to help us to calculate fast. That's it for me. When you want to learn maths concept, you really have to go to the basic. Understanding how it works. Are you okay? So therefore, this will be a positive value here. Right? So we know that the x-intercept is 2. The y-intercept is 3 minus root 5. I cannot use a calculator and count because the question asks for exact value. So be very careful. I have told you how important the word exact value is. Every SAT, I sure will come up with one question whereby if you don't know how to calculate it algebraically like that, okay, you keep depending on the calculator, okay, A plus definitely not in your hand. You won't fail your maths, but A plus definitely out of the story. Are you clear? And I can even say not even A. So you want to get A in maths, okay? Please don't too dependent on the calculator for certain questions. Are you clear? The understanding of it is very important. Okay, so now I can use this and answer my part B. So the range is y. Y is a member or real number. You see, if you see a negative sign in front of the square root, yeah, so usually will be y less than or equal to 3. If you see positive sign in front of the square root, the range will be usually more than or equal to a number. Are you okay? And always remember, always remember the smallest value of square root of something is, hello, young man, answer this question. Fill in the blank. No, the one behind you. With the blue jacket. Yes. Thank you. The smallest value of square root of anything is 0. So that means just now the question, correct? I have y equal to 3 minus square root of 5 plus 2x, correct? So I will conclude the highest value for this case is equal to 3 minus the smallest value of the square root, correct? That is how I think in my mind. So this will be 3 minus 0, which is 3. So even without the graph, you also can comprehend if you know this concept. Do you in IGCSE you all got talk about this question? Like I give you a range of x, then I ask you what is the smallest value of y, what is the biggest value of y, give you the relationship between x and y? No. Your maths nowadays with no logic. We all did this when we are in year 7, year 8. Our teacher make us think like nobody business, but never teach us how to think. So I should be the kind of teacher. I don't teach you how to think. Let you think for yourself. Then you will become like me. Okay? Can or not? Okay, so radical function. So far we talk about how many types of function? 4. Yes, young lady? Anything? You just ask me. You are in the class. Radical? Today. Rational? Yesterday. Exponential and natural log, we take 3 days to cover because that is the most important one. Are you okay? Can or not? Okay, no problem. So last one. I give you one more example. I combine between radical and rational. Okay. You want simple one or difficult one? Simple. Okay. Difficult better. Given fx equal to 2x minus 1 over square root of 1 minus x. 8. Find the domain. B. Find the x and y intersect. Then what else I want to say? Okay, done. This one is a bit difficult to find the range. Can I? Okay. So I'm going to give you the solution. So this is a rational, correct? So first of all, I say square root of 1 minus x cannot be equal to 0. When I want to talk about the domain, because this is the denominator of the rational function. Okay, then you talk about radical. So I will say 1 minus x must be greater than 0. All right, they cannot be equal already. So now it must be greater than 0. Am I right? Because 1 minus x is inside the square root. So therefore, my x must be less than 1. Got it? Okay, so that means there is a vertical asymptote for this case. Am I right? So therefore, I say the domain is equal to x. X is a member of real number, and x must be less than 1. So in here, I can add on to tell myself that x equal to 1 is the vertical asymptote. Even the question didn't ask me. Usually when I answer the question, I will try to think something extra. This is not exam. This is learning. Understand? Is the vertical asymptote. Okay, so now part B. I want to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, correct? So when you say find the x-intercept, means fx equal to 0. Yeah. For radical function, the top is 0, the whole thing is 0. Am I right? Okay. So I just conclude 2x minus 1 equal to 0. So x equal to half. Can it be? Is it within the domain? You have to be very careful. You have to refer back to your domain. Sometimes it's not within the domain, so there is no x-intercept. So you have to be very, very careful when you find x-intercept. It doesn't mean that all cases will have x-intercept. Depend on the domain. Do you get me? Okay, so therefore, x-intercept is half. It exists because half is less than 1. You have to put in your mind. Sometimes you find you by substituting in like that, correct? But it's not part of the domain, so that is not the x-intercept. So that means therefore you say x-intercept doesn't exist. Do you get me? Okay, so to find the y-intercept, I put the x equal to 0. So that is 2 times 0 minus 1 over square root of 1. What is square root of 1? 1. My August intake, square root of 1, still leave it as square root of 1. So I deduct 1 mark because you make me work. So you are not, you don't entitle for the 1 mark because you don't simplify the thing. You make me work, you lose your mark. YOLO, you think what? If you put like that, you also lose 1 mark. Your answer have to be like that. Y-intercept is negative 1. All right? So you don't make the marker work. You make her work. That's it. You should make me relax when I mark your paper. Then you get high mark. If I get stressed out when I mark your work, then you. Okay, let's talk about C. So when we talk about C, correct? So that means I have a situation like that. This is my X, this is my Y. My vertical asymptote is X equal to 1. So I will have graph only this region. Am I right? So that's why I say describe when it approach 1 from the left. So I want to study what happened. So I have to choose an X value which is very near 1, but less than 1. You get me? So I will say as X approaches 1 from left. So I'm going to talk about my rational function got 2 parts, correct? Yeah, the first part is 2x minus 1 will approach you put your x at 0.99999999. 0.999999 minus 1, you will get negative 0.000001. So it will approach 0 from left. Okay, but negative. So you put down there for yourself. Put in red, but negative. Am I right? Are you okay? So what happened to my square root of, what is it? Square root of 1 minus, where am I?
Wait, it shouldn't be like 2x minus 1 shouldn't really approach 0 because if you do like multiply.
Oh, I forgot. Same thing also. What if you multiply by 2? 0.999. Oh, should be positive because you multiply by 2. Should be positive, huh? But positive, okay? Sorry, thank you. I forgot the 2. Okay? Like 2 times 0.99999, it will be 1.999998. So you take away 1. So it's still 0.9999. So it approach what?
1.
Approach 1. Thank you. Approach 1. Correct? So how about, sorry, square root of, the bottom is square root of what? 1 minus x. So this one definitely will approach what? 0, but not 0. Approach 0 and 0 is different story. Approach 0, but positive. Am I right? Hello? So therefore, my fx will approach, you see, you imagine like that. 1 divided by very, very small number. 1 divided by very, very small number, what do you get? Yeah, like for example, 1 divided by 0.000001. Very big number. So it becomes very, very big. Correct? So that's why it approaches infinity. So that's why the graph go this way. If you have graphic calculator, when we sketch this graph, right? The graph go, I just sketch the graph go this way. Approaches infinity. So it go like that. This is the graph for this rational function. Because the rational function, the denominator involve radical. So you only have one side. You don't have both sides. Are you okay? Can or not? So what are the things? 4 things. Okay. So next week, At drop finish, I will go full force into our syllabus. And in 3 weeks or 4 weeks time, we will have our SAT1. Hello? You have class,